There was a moment last year where I said the word unbothered out loud in a room during a really difficult experience, and everything stopped because I knew that this word had meaning and it was true. Imagine moving through your most expansive season of your business and your life at the exact same time, learning the duality of holding it all, staying completely rooted in yourself while you do so. Present, regulated, clear, actually building from a place of steadiness. That is what Unbothered creates. It is a mastermind with a complete subconscious reprogramming toolkit built inside, so you grow and scale your business with your beliefs solid beneath you and your nervous system fully on board. I built this because I lived it. The word unbothered came to me in one of the most defining moments of my life, and I knew immediately that it was the name of my next solo book and the work I was born to teach. If you're ready to build a business from the most grounded, regulated, expansive version of yourself, the link is in the show notes to join us. Welcome to the Own Your Choices, Own Your Life podcast. You've landed in the right place to learn how to own your story, release subconscious beliefs, rewire your mind, and step into the impact you know you're here to create. Through outspoken publishing and NLP certifications, we share the tools and subconscious shifts that expand your voice, your message, your confidence, and your leadership. I am your host, Marsha Van Weinsberg, NLP trainer, speaker, author, and publisher. I am thrilled you are here. Let's get started. Welcome back to the show. I am in the middle of sharing this Unbothered series, and I have to actually pause and share a in the moment episode. And when I shared it in a IG reel or a post or whatever I did, I can't remember. One of my clients sent a message and said, that's a podcast episode. And she was right. So here we are. Like, this is what happens sometimes. The ideas drop. I trust them and I just go. So I've been talking a lot about the floor being like your belief system in yourself. And then the ceiling is your like visions that you have for yourself. And that is incredible. Like that, I love this framework. It lands so deeply and your life is in between the two. Your job is to, seal the cracks in your foundation of your belief of yourself so that you can raise the floor to become the version of you who holds this vision. And I don't think I have a better real life example than right now. So this is something that we have been walking through. We have been, in this space of, if you are a person who has big goals, big dreams, I do, they're huge. Sometimes I'm like, holy, that's big. And it feels great. And then all of a sudden life comes in and goes, how bad do you want it? Let me just like knock your feet out from underneath of you. How bad do you want it? Can you get back up again? Can you be more solid? Can you actually like ground yourself so that you can become this version? I often say that, when you set a goal or a word for the year, be ready because the universe is literally going to throw the opposite at you. 2025, I will never pick this word again, just so you know. Although I guess in hindsight, in 2025, I picked the word expansion and immediately the year felt like nothing but contraction. It was like, oh my God, this is just insane. And that's why, because if you want to be able to hold expansion, can you hold the opposite, right? If you want to hold abundance, if you set the goal as abundant, be ready to have a lot of times where you do not feel abundant and you have to get okay within yourself that can you feel abundant when it looks like nothing is working? So when I talk about belief systems and solidifying the floor to go after these big visions, I do have to share, and I did get permission to do this, I do have to share the journey that my husband has walked through. And I think it's really funny because he did say at the live podcast event, he spoke, it was incredible. It was like it was the moment for me. And he talked about, going after our dreams for the first time in a long time. Like we feel like we actually can dream again. And it's taken us a long time to get here because of what we've come through. Now, my husband is a Olympic lifter and he has gone to the worlds. He's a masters Olympic lifter and he has gone to the worlds. He picked up CrossFit probably, I don't know, 15, probably more than that, 15 plus years ago, something like that. He has always, loved fitness, been a part of it. And then when our life went sideways because of everything with our kids, I mean, both of us went sideways, to be honest. And I started to dive into personal development, Tony Robbins, really like, what can I do to change this? And he went into fitness. Kettlebells, went into then CrossFit, started to compete at CrossFit, then went in Olympic lifting. And Olympic lifting is the clean and jerk and the snatch. Okay. So there's your setup. So in 2025, on April 18th, he set 3 national records in masters. And on his last lift, you only do 6 lifts. On his last lift, he ruptured his tricep tendon. It was nasty. I'm not going to lie. It was nasty. And it was something that happened really fast. And within 36 hours, he had emergency surgery on Easter weekend. So, like, that was incredibly grateful for how our healthcare system worked at that time. And during that, it was a super intense weekend. We actually had a couple of critical things happen in our immediate family at the same time. While he's in the hospital, I'm dealing with this over here. And I'm not going to sugarcoat it, but I'm not going to hide it. I'm learning how to share this piece. He's over here in the hospital. I'm over here dealing with police at the same time. And it's like, are you serious? Why is this all happening at once? And I believe it actually had to happen that way because he had his own thing to take care of. I was like when you're in a crisis situation, there's not a lot of time to think. It's like make decisions next, next, next. So it was a very intense weekend, honestly. And then it set us up for what was coming next. And what was coming next was not glamorous. Like it was not a glamorous time. I was in a time of my business was growing really fast. We were getting ready to publish a collaborative book with 24 authors, this massive event series. Meanwhile, at home, Brad couldn't cut his food, couldn't shower, couldn't drive, and had to sleep upright in a lazy boy chair for probably 3 months because of where his arm had to be. Okay, so I just want to share that background picture because here's somebody who he knew his vision, right? Less than 6 months before this injury happened, he was in Finland, just missed gold for the world and ended up with silver. Okay, so there's the framework. Now all of a sudden, he can't drive, can't shower on his own, can't cut his food, is like completely helpless. And so it was just a wild time. And all of a sudden, we went to this space that it's not about the lifting anymore. This is where we're shifting from physical effort to mindset. And I'm talking like mindset, not think better. I'm talking like become a different version. And I said to him, one of the first things I said is, this could be a possibility where you actually come out stronger because this is your weakness. This is being fixed. Surgically, it's done. You can become stronger. I wanted to plant that seed from the very beginning. Okay. So for someone whose identity was all about hard work, do more, push strong, like big and strong, all of a sudden, the whole basis of work became mental, like literally mental. And this was a turning point because I'm not sure when this was, to be honest, but like within the first 4 to 6 weeks, we saw the surgeon again. And surgeons, like I've had lots of experience with surgeons. Their job is to cut, fix, and you're done. Like it's no offense, but that's what they do. They don't do anything more. They're just like, once their job is done, it's done. And so we went to see the surgeon. The stitches, I think, were coming out or close to coming out. I can't remember. Or maybe it was the time they were changing the brace. So he had to wear this brace that started out with his arm locked, and then the degrees changed so that it could move the arm while it was healing. Wild experience to witness. And as we did this, we saw this doctor. He looked at him and he said, "You'll likely never lift anywhere near the same numbers again." And I could feel my blood boiling in a second. Like I know how doctors work and I can do it all respectful. I also spent 27 years in a rehab background, so I know it well. And all of a sudden I was like, okay, breathe, breathe, breathe. Because he said, maybe you should take up like running, like marathon running. I mean, if anybody knows my husband, that's actually funny. It's just funny. It's just not how he's built. And I just looked at him at the surgeon and I said, "Can I ask you a question?" Yeah. And I kind of knew the answer to this before. That's why I asked it. Bit of a smart ass, direct. Hey, I said, "I'm really curious. How many tricep ruptures and repairs have you done?" And he said, "Well, actually none." I'm like, "This was your first one?" He said, "Yeah." He goes, I actually checked with my colleagues and a lot of them have never seen it before." I'm like, "Wow." And how many 55-year-old world athletes have you worked with? And he's like, "None." I'm like, "You've never worked with one before?" And he goes, "No." I said, "So isn't it kind of safe to say that since you've never seen the surgery and you've never worked with a client like this, like we actually don't know where he's going to be in a year? And maybe we don't have to plant the worst case scenario?" And he just looked at me with this grin and he looked at Brad and he's like, "I think you're in good hands." And I was just like, let's not plant the worst case scenario. I don't know where he's going to be, but let's not think the worst. So we proceeded. He had so many, like he'd step forward and then 5 steps back and forward and 5 steps back. I know this has taken a massive toll on him mentally. And anything that's challenging us is making us stronger, right? More resilient. It is. You just get to choose which way you see it. And so fast forward, we went back and forth and back and forth and back and forth. And in his mind, he was like, "I'm not going to compete for the next 2 years. There's no way I can do it." And I'm like, "Okay, whatever you believe is true." Like, I don't know. I've never seen this injury before. In all of my years of rehab, I really haven't. And we couldn't find a lot of healthcare professionals who had either. Actually, I don't think we found any. And he connected with a guy from Germany, who did have this injury, and he told Brad, I was a year before I started to get back to lifting. Like I didn't hit my numbers. I was lifting, but I was, I was at that year mark. So we had that in our mind. And now this is all part of the story. Okay. And so then we had the podcast launch. And I actually think that opened up something for him to see. I really do. I watched him having conversations with clients, with friends, and a few of them were kind of challenging him on the thought of not competing for 2 years. And I could hear, like you could almost hear the wheels turning. So he had found a sports doctor in Oakville that we actually knew, went to see him. From there, was referred to one of the top 2 strength coaches in Canada. And he saw this specialist, I think it was the Tuesday or Wednesday after the podcast lunch. And this is also the time where we had a significant loss in the family, like just the amount of things happening. So he goes to see this specialist. He comes back and he goes, "Marsha," he says, "I'm good." Like he says, "I'm good and I can lift." And I'm like, "Okay, great. That's awesome. How do you feel about it?" And he's like, "I feel good. I feel ready." I'm like, "Okay." He goes on Wednesday. He goes, trains. He comes back and he goes, "Oh my God, I actually hit the qualifying numbers for Worlds." Now, here is a really important piece of the story. He did, and I said to him, "Oh my gosh, you gained your strength in one day." And he goes, "What? No, I didn't. What are you talking about?" I'm like, "You gained your strength in one day." And he said, "No, I didn't." And I said, "Right. You gained the belief that you had the strength in one day. And that's what changed everything." And he just looks at me, he's like, "Oh my God. I'm sure it's annoying. I'm sure it's annoying to live with me. But hey, it's what he's got." And he did tell a whole room of people that I was his coach and he is my first client. So there we go. Not always easy from this lens. And all of a sudden, when the belief changed, he changed. And like, I'm not kidding. It was that like 24 hours before that, we're not competing for 2 years. All of a sudden, he's like, "I hit the numbers. What do I do now? Like, I don't know if we can do Greece this year. I don't know if we can like put it together to make it work financially. We didn't have a plan to go." And I said, "Well, Greece is kind of not," and this is how my thought process works. Greece is in September. This is March at the time. Let's look at it. And what happens if you just go to provincials and compete and you just do it for yourself? You literally just do it for yourself. And all of a sudden he was like, "Yeah, I could do that. I think I want to do that." And all of a sudden the shifting, the belief changed and the belief changed. And all of a sudden he was registered for provincials. He's like, "We can't tell anybody." I'm like, "I'm not going to tell anybody at the time. I will after." And he was solidifying his floor. He was solidifying the floor, his belief in himself. But guess what? He's had to spend 12 months solidifying that floor. Who was his identity when he couldn't lift? What did it look like? How do I put that energy somewhere? Because I'm so used to doing training. And then what story do you tell yourself when you have those setbacks, right? One step forward, five back. What story do you tell yourself? Are you reinforcing the beliefs that you want? Do you trust yourself in the pause and waiting, that awful, uncomfortable pause? See, quitting would have actually been the easier option. Honestly, it would have been the way easier option. If you know us, you know we do not go easy option. That's just not, we don't do the easy way out. It's not what we do. And in this space, he had every reason to quit. He had just lost his mom shortly before that. It was incredibly hard, massive family stress right at a time when our dog needed like surgery on her back leg, which you got to understand, 65-pound energetic dog, and Brad couldn't lift. So I'm carrying this dog up and down the stairs. Anyways. And it was a lot of setbacks on setbacks. Quitting would have made more sense, would have been the easier option to do. And he didn't. All of a sudden, it was this deeper belief that I'm not done. I can do this. Okay, great. He goes to compete at provincials. It was a little nerve wracking. And we had a deal of what his number was that he was going to do. If he went past that, I had every right to go in the back and tell him that, no, you don't. And he knew I would. So anyways, again, a little bit of a picture of our relationship. And he went, and watching him do that first lift, knowing he blew his tricep on it, clean and jerk, watching him do that lift, breathing through it, recording it, and he does it. He hits his two numbers. He had to hit a qualifying number of 180 to go to world, and he hit 215, 205. And it was wild to watch and witness. And all of a sudden, he was holding this belief and identity in himself, and it shifted everything. Like, it shifted everything. How can you take those challenging moments that feel like your feet are being pulled out right from underneath of you? And how can you turn it into an opportunity to anchor in a deeper belief, to seal the cracks in your floor and your foundation, and to become a stronger identity that this is who I am? Yes, even when the challenges come, I know how to support myself. I am safe to do this. And ultimately, that's what he needed. This doctor referred him to the strength coach. The strength coach was like, you're safe, you're ready to go. He needed to hear that. And there's nothing wrong with needing that confirmation. Nothing. That gave him the safety and the belief to go after what he wanted. And he did. So all of a sudden, when the belief changed, he changed. And the floor became solidified. And in this space he went. And I call that unbothered, because you're not getting knocked off by what is happening around you, because you know you've got you. So as you think about this, and as I share this personal story, which I thank you, Christy, I'm going to shout you out. She was right. It had to be shared. This is a real life example of what it's like to deepen your own belief in yourself, especially when you have almost no reason to. So how, if you could look at it, where is life asking you to strengthen your floor? What if the comeback isn't about like more effort and pushing more, which is always my lesson on repeat? This is my deeper belief in myself, and this is what I'm here to do. And just because someone says you can't do it, they say that you need to think of something else, you got to get a different plan. Remember, you don't have to believe them. You don't. They can be an expert. He was an expert. He was a surgeon. He did his job as a surgeon. You always have a choice how you respond. At every single turning point, you always have a choice. And maybe, what if, message for me as much as anyone else, your next level identity isn't built by pushing harder. It isn't. Maybe it's about building more like steadiness and groundedness and strengthening your floor and becoming unbothered enough to keep going, right? What if that's what it is? Because this is what I feel is happening. And I know it is inside of Unbothered, but I'm watching it in real time. So now he will be going to nationals in June. And we're just throwing that worlds out there in Greece. I don't know what's going to happen. Either way, we have a big plan for the next 2 years. And this is the work. This is what it looks like to live the work, right? You're looking at it and you see how inspiring it is. I love you. I appreciate the messages. how inspiring it is to see what he has done. And you don't see the amount of times he wanted to quit. He was so frustrated. We were frustrated. It was difficult because he hadn't shifted into the mindset, identity, belief foundation of who he was, no matter what. No matter what. That's where the work is. It's not pretty. It's not glamorous. And it's the work. And it can change everything. So thank you for being here for this personal story. I felt so called to share it. And I know that it can help and support someone else. And another reminder, I'm 56, he's 55. You are never, ever, ever too late, too old, too far behind to go after what you want in life. You're just not. Borrow a little bit of belief from me, and you're more ready than you think you are. Have an incredible day. Thank you for tuning in to another episode of Own Your Choices, Own Your Life. I invite you to tag me on social media with your takeaways or share it with a friend. If you feel called, please leave a 5-star review and I would be forever grateful. Until next time, remember, when you own your choices, you own your life.